I'm going to give you step by step exactly what I would do if I was 6 months or less into my shuffle journey and I had to like completely start over and start from scratch. This is the information that I wish I knew when I was early on in my shuffle journey. And I am taking my almost 6+ years of experience, years of teaching, years of being educated by some of the best in the shuffle world. And I'm going to break it all down for what you should be doing at the beginning of your shuffle journey. The first thing I want to just kind of get out there what I wouldn't do. And this is all from learned experience, okay? I wouldn't look for more moves. I wouldn't be jumping between random tutorials and spending all of my time trying to just consume more. And I definitely wouldn't be assuming that I was never going to get it or thinking that, it feels awkward now. It must feel awkward for the rest of my shuffle existence, right? Like I wouldn't be getting down on myself because when I look back to the beginning of my shuffle journey, there was never an issue with motivation. There was never an issue with skill or ability to learn something new. My biggest issue was a lack of structure. And most beginners don't need more information. And I really wish that I knew this at the beginning of my shuffle journey. Beginners need more clarity, they need more support, and they need more detail. Most importantly, they need to know what to do step by step in order so that they can stop second guessing every decision or simply working on things that aren't actually going to get them where they need to be. All right. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the main things that I would focus on if I wanted to progress as a shuffler without burnout, having confidence without just like faking it and hoping that it shows up. And this is for you, even if you don't have a lot of time, or even if you are someone who's brand new to dancing and you're like, I could never do that. I have 2 left feet. I don't have any rhythm, anything like that. Okay. I'm going to break it all down. This is now the path that I take all of my beginner students through. So everyone that I coach follows a similar framework, and it's because it removes pressure and it actually replaces it with momentum. All right. So this is for someone who is a brand new shuffler. If you are new to shuffling as a whole and you're wanting to try and you're just like stepping, digging your toe in a little bit. Or this is also for shufflers who have already been dabbling, but maybe things are feeling messy, right? Maybe you learn the Running Man, but you're not really understanding how to connect it with the T-step, or why yours looks or feels clunky compared to someone else that's 6 months into their journey. So this is for anyone who's earlier on in their stage of shuffling, all right? Tip number 1, build control before you try to build tricks, all right? This is something that I did not do. I did not prioritize, and I don't have any regrets, but it is the first thing I would go back and change if I could. Don't rush through your movements, especially your foundations. Don't try to dance to music that is way too fast for you to the point where you're not actually being controlled through the movements. You're kind of just flailing through everything. There's such a difference between a shuffler who is happy to like take it step by step and progress incrementally with control versus a shuffler who is just rushing through everything, trying to learn as much as they can, not actually mastering anything. And I talked about this in another like recent podcast, so I won't go too far down the rabbit hole with that. But yeah, like to me, control is like clean and clear technique. So it's where should your balance be in your movements? Where is your weight shifting? When you're transitioning from one move to another, where is your body actually connecting out of the first move and into the second move so you can follow your momentum, right? These are the small technique nuances that actually allow you to build speed and to learn tricks and feel really, really solid about them. So it is so important that you remember that control is what builds confidence, and confidence shows up after repetition. So don't be rushing through things. Don't be trying to jump to all the tricks. Build control and clean technique first. And I promise everything else will be not only so much easier, but you'll actually be really, really proud of yourself when you watch your videos back. All right. Tip number 2 is rhythm is built day after day. It's not something that you have to be born with. Right? Rhythm is something that can be built even when you're not practicing shuffling. And I'm going to give you a few examples here. All right. Rhythm is something that you can build. I always say it's a skill that you can learn just by starting to get familiar with the music, starting to understand without getting, a music degree, but understanding the structure of music and when music starts to change, right? Starting to understand groove and the groove center so that when you're shuffling with your feet, your upper body doesn't feel disconnected and disjointed. Okay. What's happening for most people is they're just training the footwork. And I know I did this for a really long time. I don't think I focused on upper body probably for a whole year. Like I probably shuffled for a whole year without doing anything upper body related. And I definitely was not connecting to my groove center at that time. And you could tell, right? You could tell because I was looking really messy. I was kind of flailing around. My arms didn't have control. My legs looked like they were operating completely different from the rest of my body. So what I would recommend to build rhythm and build groove is not only working on that in your shuffling, but also practice having rhythm and feeling rhythm in other moments in your life. So let's say you're driving in the car, you have your hand on the steering wheel, right? Maybe two hands on the steering wheel. Work on grooving with the music. Maybe you're at home in the kitchen waiting for dinner to cook, feeling your weight transferring and feeling your hips get activated, your chest get activated, all of these things that actually make you dance, right? Because a lot of times what I see with beginners is their feet are doing one thing, and yes, they're doing movements, but they're not full body dancing. And this is something I really wish that I learned earlier on in my journey, because then it translates out to your arms, right? Your arms are an extremity, and oftentimes they come secondary to the groove, which is that middle section that connects your lower body to your upper body, right? So you don't just look like arms and legs are moving and everything else is stiff. So this is so important, and you can build rhythm, and this makes dancing feel so much easier later, but it also helps you start to listen to the music more, right? When you're actively listening for the beat, maybe when you're driving in the car or when you're in the kitchen cooking your dinner, but you're not actually shuffling, when your brain has a minute to just be like, where am I hearing the downbeat? Where is the hi-hat? How does my body organically want to move to that? It's going to change everything. All right. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3, drill first, freestyle second, and always do both. All right. Drills actually teach your body what to do. And there's a whole other podcast coming out about this. I don't know at the time of releasing if it'll be dropped just yet. But drills often feel like homework for dancers. But we do homework because we want to ace the test, because we want to learn a skill. We want to get good at something. So even though every dancer on planet Earth is going to tell you you need to drill your foundations, you might still want to skip over it. I know I did, right? But drills teach your body what to do. It helps the brain and the body, that mind-muscle connection, actually lock into place. Freestyle teaches you to trust the muscle memory that you have built. But this is the thing. So many people will drill way too many things, or they will drill too many things for not enough time, right? So focusing on like 17 different movements and working on each of them for 5 minutes a piece and hoping that it sticks in your muscle memory. That's not going to work that way. Maybe it'll show up, but it's not going to feel good. It's going to feel clunky, right? And then the other thing that they do is they'll just start freestyling with all those moves. And I really do applaud anyone who starts to freestyle early in their journey, because that is a huge, huge skill. And I think that that's very incredible. But we want to make sure that your body can trust the drills and the work that it's put in, so your freestyle feels even better, so you don't get discouraged. Because if you haven't put in the drill work first, the freestyle is going to feel really disjointed, and then you're probably not going to want to freestyle anymore. Then you're going to get caught. I'm preaching to the choir here, because this is exactly what happened to me. You're going to get caught in the combo land where you're only doing other combos and copying what other people are doing on the internet. You're only taking combo and choreography classes. And while those are important for different areas of improvement as a dancer, it's not contributing to the root of shuffling, which is a freestyle dance, right? And ultimately, if you skipped those drills at the very beginning, or if you're not continuously doing drills, because let me tell you, at 6 years, I'm still drilling in every single practice to some degree, right? So if you skip those drills, when you go to do combos or go to do choreography, those aren't going to hit either. It's almost like you're skipping the most foundational piece of what you need to do in order to improve and in order to get better. So this is what I'm going to say. Drill first, freestyle second, always do both. And when you freestyle, focus on the things that you worked on in your drilling. Even if other things show up, like even if you learned another move last week or whatever and it shows up and it's not been fully integrated yet or not drilled yet, that's totally cool. But the best way to see the things that you've learned actually start to show up in your flow is to use this framework. All right. Now I'm going to give you a very simple weekly training framework. So like how often to dance, how long each session could be, and just an example of how this could evolve over time. Obviously, this needs to be customized to you. And with my students, I customize everything. So I'm giving you kind of a breakdown of what I think will work best, but your schedule, your life, your body, all of those things are going to be the main determining factor. So how often should you practice? Truthfully, you could practice for like 2 to 4 short sessions per week. Now, it obviously is the simple thought process that what you put out, you will get back. So if you have longer times to practice and your body can handle that and you want to do that, absolutely. It just means you'll be putting the work into your muscle memory even more. And yes, you probably will progress a little bit faster. But do not discredit a short, I call them the quick and dirty sessions, where you're literally dancing a couple times a week for maybe 15 to 30 minutes. If you have more time than that and you're capable of it, amazing, go for it. But it is not 100% required, especially at the beginning where you're just starting to like build up what it feels like to shuffle in your body, right? I remember when I first started shuffling, I had shin splint, my ankles were a little bit sore. My muscles were like, whoa, I've never been used in this way before, right? So building up if you need to do that. But you could have 2 to 4 short sessions per week, 20 to 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes, whatever. And in each session, I would, again, always make sure you warm up, always make sure you cool down. Warm up should be dynamic, which means the movements should be actual movement based. You're not holding any static stretches. You can always go on YouTube and search, dancers dynamic warm up. I give a very dynamic warm up in all of my programs. So if you're in one of those, you can just go and use that in the, start here section, and then making sure you're cooling down and stretching and doing all that after. But in between the actual meat of the session, break it down into like 50-50, 50% training, drills, working on solid technique foundations, getting correct information, not just watching people on YouTube or watching 30-second TikTok tutorials and trying to copy this combo or whatever it is that we have on the internet these days, right? Like really intricate, analytical kind of work, because that's what you need at this stage. And then the other half of your practice, put some music on, enjoy it, make sure the music is at the right speed for you. Don't play music that's way too fast where you're not dancing on beat. That's a podcast for another day, dancing off beat. But that can be your freestyle portion. Or if you're not comfortable freestyling just yet, you can work on combos then, or you can learn a choreography, right? Or you can just keep drilling. But that is how I would structure your practice. That way it is just simple. It doesn't need to be complex and it doesn't need to be convoluted, right? So week 1 to 2, this could look like drilling to slow music, like go on Google, type in metronome, dance to the metronome. It's super boring, but you will find out what your BPM threshold is. And without getting too techie, BPM is beats per minute. Basically, the higher the BPM, the quicker the song is, or the quicker the tempo is, the faster you're going to have to move. So figuring out how fast you can actually shuffle doing the fundamental moves and what BPM that is so you can find music to match it. Most beginners, when they first start, usually it's like 80 to 90 BPM, and they progress to 95, 100, and so on and so forth. A lot of what you see online, a lot of music is like 120 plus at the very minimum. I would say my typical BPM that I dance to at this point in time is probably like 130. So it takes time to work your way up, but I digress, okay? Week number 1, figure out what your speed threshold is. You can use the little metronome trick I just gave you. Dance to music that is slow. Keep everything fundamental and work on just getting comfortable getting in your body. Okay. Weeks 3 to 4, this is when your transitions are going to start feeling a little smoother. So the moves that you've been working on are going to actually click together. It's going to feel like a chain link or kind of like a Tetris board where everything just is starting to fit into place. This is when you're going to be thinking a little bit less because you've put in the work to do the drills and to actually learn the technique properly, right? So you're not going to be flailing. You're not going to feel clunky. Things will start ironing themselves out. From week 5 and beyond, that's when you can start adding a little bit more freestyle in there. So you'll probably have learned, 4 moves, let's say 4 foundational moves at that point. And freestyling is putting them in different sequences and different patterns, usually off the top of your head, just strictly based on your muscle memory. And that's when you can actually start to see your own style showing up a little bit, your own quirks. Maybe you can dance to faster music at this point, but you can see how it's starting to progress. I didn't say, okay, put on the fastest song that you could possibly think of right now and just, learn an advanced combo and go for it, right? We have to start with the foundational elements so that you can build time after time. Because the thing is, you don't need a ton of time to practice. You don't need to practice, a million times per week. You just need better focus. And I don't mean like sit there and literally focus on what you're doing. I mean like picking a focus in each session, getting clear on what the intention of the session is, making sure you're watching your brain, your mindset, all of those things, okay? Your rhythm, as we said, can be trained outside of your dance sessions, right? There are so many ways to be consistent with this, and consistency is going to beat intensity every time. So even if you want to shuffle for really long and go really hard, if you're not 100% sure what you're doing, if you're not doing things correctly, you'll see less progress than someone who would practice for 15 minutes and just do it really intentionally, okay? Everything that I just walked you through is the exact structure inside of my Footwork Blueprint course. And I actually just revamped everything so that there is more modules in there that are like modules you need, not just a bunch of random tutorials jammed into an on-demand library. This is like strategic, it's structured, it walks you through everything. There are low impact variations in there. It's a complete system for fundamentals, rhythm expansion, drills, freestyle. There's choreography and combos in there, as well as mindset. So inside, you're going to get step-by-step fundamentals training. Y'all know I don't do anything half-ass, right? I am here to explain things in such a bite-sized way that even if you feel like you have 2 left feet, even if you've never danced a day in your life, you're going to get it, okay? That's number 1. You're going to get drills that actually build muscle memory. Everything is taught facing the back, so you don't have to guess which leg I'm lifting. You can just mirror my movements exactly and understand them in your brain and have it click in your muscle memory, which is amazing. There are rhythm and groove guidance trainings in there for people who feel like they have no rhythm. I'm going to make you have rhythm, don't worry. Right? Freestyle and confidence frameworks for you to follow. And on top of that, this is brand new as of 2026. You're also going to get 60 days inside of our private community where you get complete coaching, feedback, and accountability from me and from everyone else, the accountability from everyone else in the group as well. You can submit videos for review by me. I review them within 48 hours. You will get to do weekly shuffle coaching calls where you can get on-the-spot corrections and on-the-spot feedback. So it's basically like a little mini one-to-one lesson, but in a group setting. We have mindset channels for you to ask any of your mindset questions. Maybe you watch a video and you're like, oh, I'm feeling comparison with this person, maybe you pop in a question in there. I walk you through it. The rest of the community pops in, they support you, they share their experiences. Mindset calls monthly, virtual shuffle meetups monthly. The community aspect is so amazing. We are all growing together at all different levels of shuffling, right? Not just advanced people, not just beginner people. We're all in there doing it together, and it is absolutely amazing. So if you want to stop guessing in 2026, if you want to progress quickly and with strategy, this is exactly what you need. The Footwork Blueprint is exactly where I tell you to start. If you want confidence that sticks as a shuffle dancer on the dance floor and off the dance floor, this is what you need to do. Follow this strategy. I'm going to drop more information about the Footwork Blueprint in the caption, in the show notes. I'm so excited to work with you, and I'll see you in the next podcast.